pronounces it Resavy, is that correct, Don? Resavy, Your Honor.
Resavy. Got it.
Yeah, Resavy.
All right. Meeting time set for trial. Are we ready to proceed?
We are ready to proceed, Your Honor. I did want to put on the record that there was a previous offer to be discharged with sentencing under 7694, and it's my understanding the defendant is rejecting the offer.
So acknowledged she is, Your Honor, and we are ready to proceed as well. Thank you.
All right. Very good. Opening statements, or are you waiting?
I'll do it short, Your Honor.
Pardon?
I'll keep it short, Your Honor.
All right. Very good.
Your Honor, today we're here, it's been a trial. Today, the court will hear testimony from D'Angelina Terrell, who the court will hear was in a relationship with Mr. Savvy. They have 2 children in common. The court's going to hear from Ms. Terrell the events that occurred on September 24th, to include an incident with Mr. Savvy where she was pushed after trying to put their children to bed. And I believe at the end of this testimony, the court will see her testimony, see her demeanor, and find the defendant guilty beyond a reasonable doubt.
All right. Very good. Skinner, would you like to give an opening statement, reserve, or waive?
I'd like to give one, Your Honor, very quickly. Your Honor, this case, as you heard counsel say, goes all the way back to September of 2024. At that time, my client, Mr. Resavy, was and is a veterinarian, a National Guard veteran. He was living in Pittsfield Township, sharing custody with the complainant, Ms. Terrell, of 2 children that he thought he was the father of, and later learned that she had lied to him, was not the father at all, which I think will reflect on her credibility, which is clearly going to be an issue in this case. But nonetheless, they shared custody at that time, 50-50. He had the kids, and he invited Ms. Terrell over. You're going to find that their relationship was toxic, probably at best, but they still did sometimes hang out. And that night they were planning on hanging out a little bit, so we invited them over. The kids would not go to bed, being rambunctious because mom and dad were together. It was getting late, so John told her, "You got to go." Over the course of about 45 minutes, he kept saying, "It's time for you to go," for lack of a better legal word, revoking her ability to be in his apartment. She told the police she protested. She didn't want to leave. She wanted to hang out with the kids, and that caused some friction. As for what allegedly happened, Your Honor, my client will tell you that as he's standing in the doorway saying, "I'm going to get your purse, it's time to go," she loses her cool, smashes by him, pushes him up against the wall where he smashes his head and shoulder against the wall, leaving a divot in the wall and redness on his head. She runs, grabs the phone, and calls police. Now, what she tells police, Your Honor, is that he pushes her and that he smashes his own head against the wall, which I think the physical evidence, my client's testimony, and he will testify in this case, will definitely belie that. I'm hopeful at the end of this case, you'll find that this was toxic and this was immature, but this was not criminal, especially at Mr. Resavi's hands.
Okay. You may call your first witness.
Thank you. People call D'Angelina Terrell.
To affirm testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes.
See, state spell your first and last name correct, please.
Angelina Brennan, BEANGELENA BRENNAN, but my former last name is TERR.
Go ahead, you may inquire.
Thank you, Your Honor. And you go by Lena.
Yes,
Lena, do you know a John Resavi?
I do.
How do you know him?
Bartender when we were both living in Manhattan, Kansas.
Did you have a relationship?
Yes, it was one of friends with benefits. And then I got married to like a romantic relationship.
So you had a kid together? Okay. If you saw John today, would you recognize him? Is he in the courtroom right now? Can you identify something he's wearing and where he's sitting? And where's he sitting?
On the left side, the courtroom to the farthest left.
Okay. Your Honor, please let the record reflect that this witness has made an incorrect identification of the defendant.
Record shall so reflect.
So I'm going to direct your attention now to September 24th of 2024. On that date, were you at 3341 Primrose Lane? And is that in Pittsfield Township,
Yes,
County of Washtenaw,
yes.
State of Michigan? And on that date at that location, did Mr. Rice have you do anything to you that made you call the police?
Yes, so, he had asked me to leave after, coming against the bed, and I was trying to do so, but I didn't grab my purse. And as I was walking to grab my purse, he had cut me off and started pushing me more towards the stairs. And, it was like, I don't know how long it happened. I just knew that I started hearing the kids cry. And I told John, I was like, hey, the kids are watching their phone. I don't need my son to. And then the walls were up.
Okay, so let's kind of start back at the beginning. Whose residence is that?
It's John's residence.
Okay, and how did you end up being at that residence on that day?
On that day, I went to class and we were in the middle of a quiz, so they said, they had worked John on that. And he had asked me to pick up a target order that he had placed that was ready. And I told him I would do that. And she spoke on the phone and asked him if the kids would probably like to know, because I didn't want to go inside. Because I knew that my presence would like rile them up. And I didn't want to stir them up right before bed. He told me they were sleeping. I had a clicker to his garage because it was kind of like a townhouse condo situation. So I opened the clicker, and before I could even open the door, our eldest son, Alexander, opened the door. And I told John, because he was standing there, I was like, don't worry about it, I'll just put him to bed for you. And then we could like kind of talk later, because the whole point of me being there was to talk. I forgot that part, but we were just gonna hang out and talk.
So then, sorry to cut you off. So you got it there. Kids are awake. You go in the house and you're going to put them to sleep.
Yes, I told him I would put, well, at the time I thought it was just one son, but then I saw the other son was awake too. So I said I was on two sleepable. And we could talk right there. In the middle of putting Arthur to sleep, Alex had fell asleep. And John had came in, and he was just saying, like, they don't do this while you're here. It doesn't go like this. They're only doing this because you're here. And I told him it was fine because Alex had just fell asleep and Arthur was on his way to sleep. Like, you know, just give me like 30 minutes and Arthur should be asleep. And the second time he came into the kid's room, that's when he asked me to leave. But at that time, Arthur was like 2 seconds away from actually like being into deep sleep, and I asked him if I could stay just a little bit, just so he could fall asleep, and then I'll leave. And he was like, no, you need to leave now. And I was like, okay, fine. And the way he was standing in front of the room entrance. And so I was going that way, and he was like, no, you need to leave to the bathroom. But the way that their door is set up is like, when the room entrance doors open, it blocks the bathroom doors entrance. So I moved the door.
The hallway door?
The entrance to the room door.
Okay.
To get into the bathroom, because the bathroom cuts out into like the little hallway that his house has. And so when I did that, he was like, bitch, did you just try to close the door on me? And I was like, no, I'm just trying to leave. And then he cut me off as I was trying to get to the kitchen to grab my purse and stuff. And that's when he started pushing me. And I kind of started pushing him off of me and asking him to let go of me. And he wasn't trying to let go. He was like, no, you need to leave, you need to leave, you need to leave. I was like, I'm just trying to leave. I was like, I'm just trying to grab my purse. And that, I don't know how long that went on. I would maybe say like 2 to 3 minutes of him trying to push me and me trying to like get him off me, because the way that his house is laid out. There's like a small, short, set of stairs and then a very long set of stairs and tile at the bottom of those long set of stairs. And in that moment, I was scared that he was trying to push me down the stairs. Because that's how badly he wanted me to leave. And like I said earlier, the only reason why he like kind of let go of me is because I said, "Hey, John, the kids are watching, they're crying." And they were, and they were really scared. And I called the police. And as I told John I was calling the police, that's when he decided to hit his head against the wall and said that I hit him. I was nowhere near him at that time. I was like as far away as I could be trying to call the cops.
So how did this whole incident make you feel?
It made me feel scared because like John and I have gotten into fights before. But like I never felt like my life was in danger. I think I was the only time I was like, wow, this man's really trying to hurt me. And I couldn't even tell you like what I did wrong to even make him want to like try to like that.
Your Honor, may I have one moment? And I know you mentioned your two sons. Are those two sons you share with Mr. Rysavvy?
Yes.
So he is their parent?
Yes.
Okay.
Bowser isn't his biological son. That's something we found out later down the road. But not at the time of the we found out, well, John did a DNA test on Alexander, like a month or two after the incident happened, and found out that he wasn't his biological son.
Okay. And that's the older one?
Yeah, that's Alexander.
And the younger one?
He's Arthur.
And was the same testing done?
I just only know the one for Alex and not Arthur.
Okay. All right.
I have one more moment, Your Honor. Nothing further to this witness, Your Honor.
All right, cross-examination.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Brennan, good morning. Let's start with the location at Primrose Lane. That was Mr. Rysavvy's house, yes?
Yes.
You were not on the deed, you were not on the lease, you were not on any sort of documentation, correct? You had your own house or location elsewhere, yes?
Yes.
So I think you told the judge and the prosecutor, he told you to leave several times, yes?
He only asked me to leave once. And then when I was trying to grab my purse, because it was in the kitchen area, that's when he was like, "No, you need to leave," but I can't leave without my keys or my wallet.
If I heard you correctly earlier, I think when the prosecutor was asking questions, you said, and I quote, "Give me 30 minutes." Is that correct?
Yes, for the kids, because he didn't ask me to leave at that time when he came in the first time. He was just.
In this courtroom proceeding, the defense disputes the complainant's version of an alleged altercation that took place inside the defendant's residence. Through direct questioning, the witness concedes that she presented no injuries, visible marks, or supporting physical evidence to law enforcement following the event. She further states that she did not notice any injury to the defendant's head. Notwithstanding this, she asserts that the defendant forcefully struck his own head against a wall. The defense subsequently underscores that the defendant had repeatedly instructed her to vacate the premises, drawing attention to the contested chain of events that resulted in police involvement.
Agitated, saying that they will do this while I was here, like me.
So if you're asking to give me 30 minutes, what are you asking him to do? What?
I said, give me 30 minutes so I could finish putting our youngest son Arthur to bed because the whole point of me being there was to talk and hang out.
Okay, so give me 30 minutes is in response to him telling you it's time to go.
Didn't ask me to.
You use the word with the police, who I think Officer Branch is here over my shoulders, that you protested. I think that was your word on the video, correct?
I didn't protest. I just said that I wanted to finish putting them to bed because I was there and I knew the moment I left, it would rile them back up.
Do you recall using the word protest to the officers? I protested for 30 minutes.
Saying,
Ma'am, with respect to a 911 call, what was your intention in calling 911?
well, one, I still haven't had my purse at the time to leave. So that was the, and the other intention was so that I could be able to leave safely because at that point, he just put his hands on me, he just tried to push me. I just wanted to leave.
So I'm curious, and why is the call and the about him smashing his head in the wall repeatedly? Why are you telling the dispatchers that?
Because he just did that as I was calling them. Like the moment I said I'm calling 911, he started hitting his head against the wall. And that was very confusing to me. And so I let them know because I wasn't near them. In fact, the kids were the closest to me. And I informed them that that there were kids present and that what had happened was that he was trying to push me.
I mean, you guys had a custody arrangement at that time, correct?
Yes,
It was 50-50, correct?
yes,
In response to the question I think the judge asked you, you had told Mr. Rasevi that Alex was his child, yes?
yes,
And he was paying support for him, yes? Continues to, yes? You had the children 50-50. This was his night on September 24th, 24, correct?
Well, so that's a little tricky because the custody agreement actually states that on Tuesday, I pick up the kids from school. But because I was going to school at that time, I had asked him if he could additional.
So whose night was it on this night?
It's technically mine.
Okay. And this particular night, you guys had 50-50 custody, correct? Did you seek to try to change full custody after this?
Not full custody, but I definitely felt like after this incident, John's behavior has grown increasingly concerning, to the point that the kids were coming and telling me very concerning things.
Now, Ms. Brennan, when you first gave the story to the judge, you said that my client had sort of his hands up and was stopping you from coming back into the apartment. Is that accurate?
I wouldn't say accurate. He actually like was pulling me by my shirt and then pushing me by my shirt, if that makes sense.
Did you have any sort of stretched out shirt, any marks, any injuries, anything that you could show the police to what we call corroborate that?
I don't think so.
Did you have any injury whatsoever?
No,
To your knowledge, did you see injury to Mr. Rasevi's head?
no.
But of course, your testimony is that he put his own head into the wall. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I have no further questions.
I guess I'm trying to figure out. He asked you to leave, right? At some point.
Yeah, he asked me to leave and then
But what was your response to him asking you to leave?
my response was, can I just finish letting the argument that he's almost asleep?
Is that the give me 30?
No, that's not the give me 30.
Okay, so when does the give me 30 come?
That was prior. That was the first time he came into the room. He didn't ask me to leave, but he was getting agitated and saying that they don't do this while I'm here. And I just told him, give me 30 minutes and I'll be done. Putting them to bed.
And so how much time had passed before that comment and then you and then him asking you to leave.
I wasn't aware of the time, like I didn't see, but I feel like it wasn't 30 minutes, it was definitely less than that.
When you said, give me 30, what was his response?
He said, okay, and he closed the door.
And then at some point came back?
Yes.
So when he asked you to leave at that moment, I guess my question is why didn't you leave?
Because Arthur was still awake. His eyes were closed, but he was still awake. And I knew if I were to have gotten up, that would have just like kind of reawakened him. And that's when I was like, really just finished with him. So, and then I'll leave. And then he was like, oh, he needs to leave down. I was like, okay.
Okay, so that was 2 times that he's asked you to leave, because he said he asked you to leave,
Yes.
you didn't right then, right? And then he said, no, you need to leave right now.
Yes. And then after he said that, I was like, okay, fine. I'll leave. But then what I think kind of escalated the situation when I was trying to leave out of the bedroom entry door. He told me not to do that. He told me to leave.
Where was your cell phone?
I think it was in my hand at the time. Because I had it in the room with me and the kids.
Okay. And then when you exited out, did you exit out the bedroom door or the door that leads to the hallway through the bathroom?
The door that leads to the hallway through the bathroom, because he was standing in front of the bedroom.
Didn't ask why, but that's the door you exited out of.
Yes.
How far is the stairway from that door?
I would say that.
Okay. And then did you head down the stairway?
No, because I didn't have my purse in the room with me when I was putting the kids to bed. It was in the kitchen area on like the little countertop.
And is that on the lower level?
No, that's on the top level.
That's on the same level as the bedrooms?
Yes.
Okay. And so you said, let me get my purse. And then you went to get your purse?
I was trying to, but that's when he cut me off before I could even grab my purse. And he started like pushing me more towards the stair area where the door would lead to. Like there's a short set of stairs, like 2 or 3 steps, and then there's a long flight of stairs after that. That leads to like the door.
Did you ever get your purse?
I did, once the police were there.
So prior to that, you didn't get your purse.
No.
So did you leave the building?
I went down the stairs.
Okay, so hold on a second. When you went downstairs, your purse was still upstairs?
Yes, because at the time I was on the phone with the police.
So you called the police from upstairs?
Yes, because after he let me go, I was able to call the police because I was trying to get his hands off of me, so he wouldn't push me down those stairs.
Can I ask you, if you had your cell phone with you and he wasn't letting you get your purse, why didn't you just leave? And then, as you did, call the police from outside or wherever and ask them to come so you could retrieve your purse?
Because I didn't even get that opportunity. Like, once I went to the direction of my purse and he cut me off, that's when he started pushing me. And that's when the whole altercation.
No, what I'm saying is, okay, that happens. So why didn't you then turn, go down the stairway, go outside, call the police to then get your purse?
Because he was holding on to me, like he wasn't trying to let me go. I didn't have the opportunity to even like to fully even push him off of me so that I could even go down the stairs. The only reason why he let go is because the children saw what he was doing. And then after that, I went downstairs. Like I called the police, I started getting downstairs, getting my stuff on, and the kids too.
So, Mr. Guerin had asked you about a custodial arrangement. And so, this was a school day?
It was a Tuesday night.
Okay. And so the 50-50 arrangement at the time was what?
It was, so it was like Friday evening, Saturday, Sunday, Saturday, Sunday, every other weekend. And then,
Stop.
sorry,
When you say every other weekend,
right.
for him?
Yes, for him, it was every other weekend. I have a weekend, he has a weekend, so we do 2 weekends for kids each month.
And then what happens during the weekday?
The weekday, he has them on Monday and Tuesday.
And this happened on Tuesday.
Yes.
So why do you say that was your day?
Because the way that our original agreement was laid out was that he has them until Tuesday morning, and then I pick them up in the Tuesday afternoon.
Well, that won't work because really the agreement would talk about overnights, right?
Yes,
So who had custody that Tuesday overnight? Look at what day of the week, September 24th.
yes. I did. It was my night, but I had asked him to take care of the kids because I have class and play, so I wouldn't be able to take care of.
So suffice it to say, despite the agreement that when you requested that of him, he was to then take care of the kids.
Yes,
And they were going to stay that Tuesday overnight.
yes.
And then again, why were you there?
Why was I there?
Yeah.
I had asked John, and then he also had asked me to pick up his target order because he ordered PS5 controllers for the kids, and I said that's fine.
During cross-examination, the defense methodically questions the complainant regarding the timeline and conditions within the apartment. Counsel establishes that the property is exclusively owned by the defendant and confirms that she had been directed to leave. The inquiry centers on her decision to remain inside, her request for additional time to settle a child, and the circumstances immediately preceding the emergency call. The defense further emphasizes the lack of observable injuries or corroborating physical proof, while the witness continues to allege that the defendant pushed her and subsequently struck his own head against the wall.
That would do that.
So you asked him to hang out.
So, yes.
So all of this, what time were the kids being put to bed?
I didn't get to his place closer to like 8:30, 9 o'clock-ish. I don't remember the exact time, but I know it was like late.
And had you picked up the target order?
Yes,
So it was 8:39. What time was during that time the kids' bedtime?
I don't know how he has their bedtime structured at his house, but mine's at 7 o'clock.
Okay, were they in bed when you got to his house?
One of them wasn't Alexander, the oldest one.
How old is he at the time?
He was about to be 6, and he was 5.
Okay.
He was 5, and he was up. He had opened the garage door for me before I could even open it.
Okay. So at some point, but I mean, they're dressed for bed.
Yes, they were dressed for men. But I had informed John to let me know if they were up, because then I wouldn't have to, I wouldn't have anything inside. Because I knew that I would roll them up. He was assuring me that they were in bed. Right. And so when they saw me, they're like, "Oh, Mom's here, Mom's here." So that's when I was like, "Oh."
Any questions based on the court's questions?
None from the people you're asking.
Nor do I, Your Honor. Thank you.
Yes, step back. Call their next one.
People no further witnesses, Your Honor.
All right. Witnesses for the defense.
Your Honor, at this time we would call John Reserve, please.
All right. Sir, please come forward.
Take a seat, raise your right hand. You solemnly swear to affirm the testimony about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
So have a seat. State and spell your first and last name.
John Reserve, J-O-H-N, R-Y.
Inquire.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Reserve, good morning. Ask you, do you remember the events that occurred, did or did not occur on September 24th, 2024 at 9:40 p.m.? Just going to ask you point blank that night, John, did you aggressively push Miss Terrell Brennan at any time that night? Did you aggressively grab her sweatshirt, tug her sweatshirt, pull her in any way? Did you, I know it's a legal term of art, do you believe you assaulted her in any way? Were you violent towards her? Did you intend to harm her? Did you threaten to throw her down the stairs? Did you smash your own head against the wall? We're going to talk about all that in some details. Let me ask you a couple questions about you, sir. How old are you?
34.
And at the time, I'm guessing, what, 32 or so, yes? What do you do for a living? How long have you done that?
Approximately 4 years.
I mentioned you're also a military veteran as well. What branch? Are you still in that or no? We heard some questions about Miss Terrell Brennan and your relationship with her. You two were never married, correct? Just very quickly, did you believe you had 2 sons with Miss Terrell Brennan? When did that change for you?
In November of 2020.
And we heard some talk about a DNA test. Did you take a DNA test?
Yes.
Was that self-initiated?
Yes.
And did it, in your mind, prove that the oldest Alex was not your biological son?
Yes.
Had Miss Terrell Brennan previously told you that he was?
She did.
Did she fight that he wasn't your son at that time?
She refused to believe the first test.
At the time of September of 2024, is it accurate to say the two of you had a 50-50 custody arrangement?
It is.
Heard the judge ask us some questions. September 24th, do you recall if that was your night, Miss Terrell Brennan's night, or you don't recall?
I don't know.
Okay. But were the children at your Primrose address?
They were.
I asked her that Miss Terrell Brennan had a separate apartment or separate location, yes?
Yes.
I want you, from your own perspective, to tell the judge what brought you two together that night.
We were going to have sex.
And who initiated contact?
She did.
And so was the plan to meet up after the children were asleep?
It was.
And do you recall what time she arrived?
It was approximately 8:30.
Were the boys sleeping at that point?
I thought
They were in their rooms?
Yeah.
And so what happens after Miss Brennan arrives?
I go downstairs to greet her. When doing that, Arthur Youngest was the one that woke up. And then she must have spoken to that.
And I guess I'd ask you from there,
At this stage of the trial, the defense redirects attention from the complainant's testimony to the defendant's version of events. After verifying relevant details of the evening, counsel calls the defendant to testify. While under oath, he is directly questioned as to whether he ever pushed, restrained, or assaulted the complainant. The defendant unequivocally denies all allegations of physical conduct. The examination then shifts to contextual background, including his employment, prior service record, and personal relationship history, before returning to the incident in question and his claim that he repeatedly requested her to leave his residence.
After waiting for I needed that because I wanted to get that.
and you said waited for what?
For her.
At any point, Mr. Rezavi, did you ask Ms. Brennan to leave?
I did.
How many times would you say you asked her to leave?
Well, I did over again. Probably at least 10 times.
Getting back into your mindset, why were you asking her, telling her to leave?
I wanted to go to bed. I was tired. I wanted to get the kids to bed because it's going to be early morning.
And you said, asked her many times, did she agree?
When I told her actually to leave, she stormed out the bathroom door. Was starting to go downstairs, turn around, told me she could just look. I told her, I'll grab it, leave. She continued and tried to force her way through me. I held my ground with that. And then during that, I had my hands up and blocked myself. My hands pushed down. I snagged my thumb on her hoodie, at which point she yells, "Don't fucking touch me." And then she began to hit and shove me. And then I started, retreating, going back about 8 to 10 feet.
All right, lots to unpack there. We heard some conversation from her earlier that she said, give me some time, give me 30 minutes. Do you recall that statement? You said a second ago to the judge that you said, I'll get your stuff. What stuff were you going to get for her?
She had her purse. She also had a water bottle that I didn't realize she had brought with. She received that. So the purse I gave to her when she finally decided to go down the steps. I grabbed it, tossed it in a little square where the stairs changed direction for her to grab. I didn't realize she had a water bottle. Police told me that it was still there, so I gave that to them and then they returned it to her.
All right, if we can back that up a little bit. At what point did you give her the purse back?
After she was shoving me, I hit my head. She called the cops and then she left. So once you got it.
Okay. Going back in time, when you say you'll get her stuff, why did you not want her coming back into the guts of the apartment?
She's taken things before. Particularly a ring.
Did you say a ring? Okay. And so when you tell her you'll get it, does she allow you to go get it for her at that point?
She would not. She told me to do it herself.
Okay. I want to ask you about the physical contact in very specific detail. I know I asked you this from the start, but did you sort of stop her physically by putting your hands on her?
I put my hands up. She was the one that was coming to me.
You indicated a second ago that your head hit the drywall. Can you tell the judge exactly where that occurred, how that occurred?
So everything started near the edge of the stairs. After she started pushing and shoving me.
Sir, the layout of this location, is everything upstairs?
So the garage is below. There's the door and the stairway goes out to it.
Gotcha. Okay. And Was the purse in the kitchen area or where do you think, where was her purse located?
The purse was in my bedroom.
So it wasn't in a kitchen area.
No.
Did you tell her to leave through the bathroom?
I didn't tell her specifically to leave the bathroom.
You didn't what did you tell her?
I told her to leave, and then she got very angry.
Between the two of you, physical contact between the two of you took place in the hallway area? Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah.
Were you not supposed to have the children that day? Do you recall?
I didn't recall.
You don't recall? After this, was there then any other like family court actions or anything that occurred between the two of you?
March, we had front of the court hearing, and then it's March of 2025, and September of 2025.
Okay, leading up to the March hearing, how was that initiated? What happened?
She initiated it after I was not being biologically mine. I was saying less than kind words about her.
Okay, so incident happens at the end of September. Sometime in November, there's the DNA test.
Correct, yeah.
All right. After the DNA test, then within 3 to 4 months after that, you guys are back in court.
Yes.
That hearing, from your perspective, what was the purpose of that hearing?
She wanted to adjust the parenting time.
Both or for what? Adjust it from 50-50?
Yes, from 50-50 to our current arrangement, which is every other weekend. She has them.
Say again?
I have them every other weekend. She has them the rest of the time.
So she wanted it adjusted from 50-50 to basically a 65-35.
Correct, yeah.
During the course of those, you actually had a full hearing before a referee? All right. Did you have a hearing before the judge then?
No.
Did this case or this incident become a subject matter of that hearing at all?
I didn't know it was brought up.
Pardon?
It was not brought up.
It was not brought up. Okay. Pardon?
I went to the hospital after being arrested for my blood pressure.
For blood pressure. So prior, it's going to sound like a strange question. Prior to this time, to this September 24th day, were there calls like this before for you guys to get together to have sex, or
Never.
there were? Would that occur always at your house or at her place, or how would that work?
Primarily.
Pardon?
Primarily.
Primarily at your place. And who would initiate those calls?
We would both.
Both do it. Okay. And on this occasion, she initiated the call.
Correct.